Welcome, everyone. Before we get going, it's a fun idea if you let us know where you're listening from. Cheers. Please like and subscribe. Let's relax and start. I sit in the car, parked across the street from the hotel. I watch the entrance, my eyes flicking between the front door and my phone. Sarah's last message said she'd be here for drinks with a few clients. Another late night, another work thing. Lately, it's always work. A year ago, I would have shrugged it off. Now it gnaws at me. Something's changed between us, but I can't quite place it. She's become distant, cold. There's a wall between us, and I've been trying to figure out how it got there. I glance at the time, 10:15 p.m. Her meeting should be wrapping up by now. I told her I'd be home late, but I wanted to surprise her, maybe take her out for a drink afterward. Clear the air. But I feel it. Something's off. It's not just the late nights or the guarded conversations. It's the way she looks at me, or more often, the way she doesn't. There's a calculation behind her eyes now, and I've caught myself wondering if I've done something wrong, something to push her away. I step out of the car, moving across the street, my footsteps quick and quiet. The hotel's entrance gleams under the soft yellow lights. I stop near the lobby doors, pretending to check my phone as I scan the people milling about inside. Then I see her. She's sitting at the bar, her back to me. Dark hair spilling over her shoulders, her posture confident, relaxed. She's laughing at something the man next to her says, her hand brushing his arm lightly. That laugh, it used to be for me. My stomach tightens, but I force myself to stay calm. I take a breath, moving a few steps closer. That's when I hear a voice behind me. She's quite something, huh? I turn, startled, to see a middle-aged man with slicked back hair standing next to me. He's wearing a suit that looks too expensive for his sweaty complexion. He must have noticed me watching Sarah. I smile stiffly, playing along, but there's a warning bell ringing in my head. Yeah, she is. He nods, a smirk on his lips. Well, if you're interested, she's available. That one charges $1,000 an hour, but I can tell you she's worth every penny. I freeze. My body locks up, my mind reeling. What did he just say? I glance at Sarah again, my mind struggling to make sense of his words. I must have misheard him. This is my wife he's talking about. Excuse me? My voice sounds strange, distant. The man's smirk widens, clearly enjoying himself. He pulls a card from his pocket, handing it to me like he's offering me a deal on a used car. Take this. If you want to book her, just give the number a call. They'll set you up with the best. Discreet, high-class stuff. No one has to know. I stare at the card in my hand, my vision blurring around the edges. His words are an assault, each one slamming into me, tearing at the edges of my reality. Sarah, my wife. I manage a weak smile, nodding like I understand, but I can't breathe. I feel like I've been hit by a truck. My legs move on autopilot, carrying me back toward my car. My hands are shaking as I fumble with the door handle, finally collapsing into the driver's seat. I sit there, gripping the steering wheel, trying to steady my breath. My head is spinning. That can't be true. There's no way. This guy must be mistaken. Or lying. But the card in my hand says otherwise. The weight of it burns in my palm, searing into my skin. I stare at it, hoping it'll dissolve, hoping this is all some twisted misunderstanding. But deep down, I know. I've known something was wrong for months. I glance back at the hotel. Through the glass doors, I can see her again. Sarah, laughing, leaning into the man at the bar. My stomach turns. How long has this been going on? How could I have missed it? Every late night, every excuse, every cold, disinterested look suddenly makes sense. $1,000 an hour. The words circle in my head, slicing through my thoughts, cutting away at everything I believed about my life, about my wife. I've been blind. I've been a fool. Feel something harden inside me, a shift, a tightening resolve. I'm not going to confront her tonight. No, not yet. This isn't something I can rush into. If what this man says is true, if Sarah has been lying to me, leading a double life, then I need to know everything. I need to know just how deep this betrayal goes. I pull out my phone, staring at the screen. My heart pounds, but my mind is clear, laser focused. If Sarah's been playing a game, then it's my turn now, and I'm going to play it better. I sit in the car for what feels like hours, though it's only been minutes. The business card still burns in my hand. The words from the hotel manager echo in my mind, louder now that the initial shock is starting to fade. $1,000 an hour. My stomach twists again, but this time it's anger, not disbelief. I stare at the card, my grip tightening until the edges crumple. My wife, my Sarah. And I hadn't seen it. I want to storm back into that hotel, grab her by the arm, and demand the truth. But what would that do? She'd lie. I know that now. She's been lying for God knows how long. She's been covering her tracks, hiding this other life from me. But the more I think about it, the more I realize confronting her now would be a mistake. It's not enough to know. I need to be sure. I need to see the full picture before I act. I can't just blow up like some fool. I have to be smarter than her. I have to win. The drive home is a blur. I don't remember the streets, the lights, or even the time. My mind is racing, piecing together fragments of the past year. The late-night client meetings, the sudden out-of-town trips, the coldness in bed, it all fits now. The distance between us, the excuses, everything I brushed off as stress, work, or fatigue was something else entirely. Another man, maybe more than one. When I get home, the house is dark and quiet. I sit in the living room staring at nothing, trying to think through the anger. I want to rip through the place, find her phone, check her emails, anything that might give me proof. But I stop myself. That's not how I'm going to do this. If Sarah's been careful enough to keep this hidden for so long, she won't leave easy traces. No, I need someone who can dig deeper. Someone who can find the dirt without tipping her off. A professional. The next morning, I start making calls. I know someone, a guy named Martin. We met years ago when I was looking into a potential business partner. Martin's a private investigator, the kind of guy who finds out everything without anyone knowing. I never thought I'd be using him for something like this, but here I am. The conversation is brief. I tell him I need information on my wife, nothing more. Martin doesn't ask questions. He just gets to work. I don't know how long it'll take, but I don't care. As long as he gets me the truth. The next few days are torture. Sarah comes home late most nights, offering vague explanations that barely hold up under scrutiny, but I don't confront her. I play the role of the trusting husband, nodding along, smiling when she walks past me. Every time she kisses me goodnight, my skin crawls. I imagine her with someone else, laughing the way she used to laugh with me. It's enough to make my blood boil, but I keep it together. For now. Finally, Martin calls. We need to meet, he says, his tone serious. I've got something. We arrange to meet at a bar downtown, one of those places where no one pays attention to anyone else. When I arrive, Martin's already at a booth, a folder in front of him. He slides it over without a word, and I open it. Inside are photos, bank statements, emails. It's all there. Sarah's double life laid out in black and white. She's been working as an escort for over a year, using the guise of business trips and client meetings to cover her tracks. The men she's been with, some of them are wealthy, powerful. Some of them I know. That stings the most. The idea that people I've shaken hands with, shared drinks with, have paid my wife to sleep with them. I feel the rage rising, but I shove it down. Now's not the time. How sure are you about all this? I ask, my voice tight. Positive, Martin says. The emails alone are enough. She's been careful, but not careful enough. She's used burner phones, encrypted messages, but I got enough to piece it together. I close the folder and sit back. It's real. All of it. I knew it was, but seeing it in front of me, it hits different. There's no more doubt, no more room for excuses. She's been lying to me for a long time. And now I'm going to make her pay for it. Keep digging, I tell Martin. I need everything. Every client, every transaction, every lie she's told. He nods, understanding. You got it. I leave the bar with the folder tucked under my arm. I don't feel the satisfaction I thought I would. It's not enough to know. Not yet. This is just the beginning. When I get home, Sarah's sitting in the living room scrolling through her phone. She looks up at me, smiling like nothing's wrong. "You're home late," she says, her voice casual. "Work ran long," I reply, forcing a smile. I sit next to her, my heart pounding. The urge to confront her is overwhelming, but I hold it back. It's not time, not yet. Over the next few days, I continue playing the role of the oblivious husband. But inside, I'm planning. I'm thinking about every lie she's told, every time she looked me in the eye and pretended to love me. I'm not going to let her walk away from this unscathed. She thinks she's smart, that she's got everything under control. But she has no idea who she's dealing with. I start moving money into separate accounts, preparing for what's to come. I contact a lawyer, making sure I'm protected when this all blows up. Sarah might think she's got the upper hand, but I'm not going to let her get away with this. I'm going to destroy her, piece by piece, just like she's done to me. But just as I'm finalizing everything, I notice something. Sarah's been distracted lately, more than usual. She's on her phone constantly, texting, making calls when she thinks I'm not around. At first, I chalk it up to her usual behavior. But something's different. She's nervous, edgy. It's subtle, but I can see it. She's planning something. One night after she's gone to bed, I check her laptop. I've never done this before, but I'm beyond caring about boundaries now. I go through her recent searches, her emails, her browsing history, and that's when I find it. Divorce lawyers. She's been researching them for weeks. Moving assets into hidden accounts, preparing documents, setting the stage. She's going to leave me. And worse, she's going to accuse me of cheating. I find drafts of emails, conversations with her lawyer, detailing her plan to claim I've been unfaithful. It's all laid out, perfectly orchestrated to make me look like the villain. The rage I've been holding back surges to the surface. She's not just cheating. She's trying to ruin me, to take everything and walk away clean. But now I know, and I'm not going to let her get away with it. I sit down at the kitchen table, the house quiet around me. My mind is racing, but my thoughts are clear. I have to act fast. Sarah's playing a dangerous game, but she doesn't realize I've been playing one too. I'm going to flip her plan on its head, expose her for what she really is. But I have to be careful. One wrong move and she'll take everything. I glance at the clock. It's late, but I don't feel tired. I feel something else. Focused, determined. This is no longer about betrayal, it's about survival. Sarah wants to destroy me, and I can't let that happen. I pull out my phone and text Martin. "We need to meet again. There's more to this." I'm ready for whatever comes next. I sit across from Martin in the dimly lit booth, the low hum of the bar's chatter swirling around us. He hands me another folder, and I can already feel the weight of it before I even look inside. It's thick, packed with weeks of investigation. Evidence, proof. "Everything you asked for. She's been busy, John, real busy," Martin says, his voice low, direct. "There's no need for embellishment." The truth is uglier than I could have imagined, and I'm about to dive right in. I flip open the folder, skimming through the pages. Emails, bank transfers, detailed notes on meetings with clients, men I know, business associates. One in particular catches my eye. David. David is more than just a business partner. He's someone I've known for years. We've built deals together, shared dinners, drinks. He's even been to my house. And now he's in these photos, smiling with Sarah, their bodies pressed close in some hotel lobby. The rage inside me boils over, but I keep it bottled, keep my hands steady. I've learned to do that well these past few weeks. "You sure about this?" I ask, my voice tight, my eyes still glued to the photo of David and Sarah. Martin nods. "There's no doubt she's been seeing him regularly. More than any of the others." I shut the folder. The picture is clear now, and it's worse than I thought. Sarah didn't just betray me with strangers. She did it with someone close to me, someone who's shaken my hand, someone who smiled at me while stabbing me in the back. I let the silence hang between Martin and me for a minute, my thoughts racing. But my path is clear now. I need you to do more than just gather info, I say, leaning in. I need to burn them, both of them. But it has to look like it came from her, that she's the one who's unfaithful, not me. I can't have any of this pointing back to me. Martin's expression doesn't change. He's a professional. He's seen this before. I can do that. What do you have in mind? I lay out the plan. It's simple, really. Leak enough dirt on Sarah, make her look unstable, desperate. I'll have David's name in the mix too, but it has to be subtle. No big blowouts, no public fights, just a slow, methodical unraveling of her life, her reputation, her trust in everyone around her. It starts with whispers, and soon everyone will know the truth. Everyone will see her for who she really is. The days that follow are tense, calculated. I become a ghost in my own home. Sarah notices the change, I'm sure of it. But I keep up the facade, smiles at the right moments, questions about her day, pretending everything is fine. She's still preparing her own plan, moving money, seeing lawyers. She thinks she's in control, but she has no idea the walls are closing in. I plant seeds with people we know, subtle suggestions, offhand comments, stories about her work trips and how often she's out late. I make sure it gets back to her friends, her colleagues. The rumors spread fast. I can see it in her face when she comes home, her smile tighter, her phone glued to her hand more than usual. She's trying to manage the damage, but she's too late. I've set the machine in motion. David, though, is a different challenge. He's careful, guarded, but I know his weaknesses. I start small, feeding stories through the right channels, talking about his strange behavior at work, his inappropriate relationships. Nothing too direct. It needs to seem like it's unraveling on its own, like people are putting the pieces together themselves. And then I'll strike. A week later, Sarah confronts me. She's been growing suspicious, and now it's boiling over. "You've been distant," she says, her voice sharp, standing in the middle of the kitchen. Her arms are crossed, eyes hard. "What's going on, John?" I shrug, keeping my expression neutral. "Work's been stressful. We haven't been connecting lately, that's all." Her eyes narrow. She knows I'm lying, but she's too far into her own game to focus on mine. "I'm not an idiot. You are hiding something." The words hang in the air, but I don't bite. Let her think what she wants. I smile slightly, stepping closer to her, touching her arm gently. "We're both under pressure, Sarah. Maybe we just need some time away, together." She pulls away, her eyes flashing with suspicion, but she doesn't push further. She's got too much at stake herself, and I can tell her own plan is consuming her. She thinks she can control me, control everything. But the ground beneath her is crumbling, and she doesn't even realize it. The next phase of my plan falls into place 2 days later. Martin has done his job well. I get a call from a mutual friend, one who's close to Sarah, but not too close. She's worried about Sarah, says she's been acting strange. She's heard things, rumors that Sarah's been sleeping around, that there's a man in her life. I feign shock, concern, playing the dutiful husband. I tell her I don't believe it, but deep down I've had my doubts. The gossip spreads fast, faster than even I anticipated. Sarah starts noticing it too. She's quieter now, more tense when she's home. I can see the cracks forming. She's losing her grip. But the real hit comes at a charity event we're hosting together. It's one of those fancy functions she loves. Dressed up, shaking hands with influential people, pretending we're the perfect couple. As the night goes on, I catch David across the room, his arm around his wife. They've always played the perfect couple too, though now I see through it all. He catches my eye, and there's a flicker of something there. Maybe guilt, maybe fear. He knows, but he's not sure what I'll do. I keep things friendly, nodding, smiling, making small talk with everyone around us. But the tension between us is electric. It's only a matter of time before the explosion. It happens during the charity auction. Sarah's up on stage, smiling, playing her part. I'm off to the side, watching, waiting. That's when I see her glance at David. It's quick, barely noticeable, but I catch it. And I'm not the only one. The whispers start immediately, subtle at first, then louder. People are talking, pointing. I've set everything up perfectly. Messages leaked to the right people, suggestive photos that made their way into the hands of a few well-placed contacts. By the end of the night, the damage is done. Sarah's reputation is in tatters, and she doesn't even know it yet. As the event wraps up, I pull her aside. Her face is pale, her smile forced. "What's going on?" she asks, her voice shaking. I look at her for a long moment, letting the silence stretch between us. Then I say, "You should know that people are talking. About you. About David." Her eyes widen, fear flickering across her face. "What are you talking about?" I step closer, lowering my voice. "They know, Sarah. People have been talking for weeks. It's all coming out. You've lost control." She stares at me, shock turning to anger. But she doesn't have time to react before we're interrupted. David appears, pulling her aside, his face tight with panic. I watch them from a distance as they argue, their voices low but intense. And in that moment, I feel a surge of satisfaction. I've done it. I've set the stage for their fall. But just as I'm savoring the victory, Martin calls. His voice is tense, urgent. "We've got a problem," he says, "one of Sarah's clients. He's not just rich, he's connected." "Bad news, John." I freeze. "What do you mean?" Martin's tone sharpens. "This guy's involved in some serious shit. Organized crime, politicians, dirty money. If you push too hard, he won't just come after her. He'll come after you. You're in deep now." The weight of Martin's words crashes down on me. I've been so focused on destroying Sarah and David that I didn't see the bigger picture. I didn't realize who I was really dealing with. My heart pounds in my chest, the taste of victory suddenly turning sour. I've unleashed something dangerous, something far beyond a simple affair. I'm not just taking down my wife anymore. I've stepped into a world of crime, corruption, and power. One that can swallow me whole if I'm not careful. "Pull back," Martin says. "This isn't a game anymore. If you keep pushing, you could lose everything." I hang up the phone, staring out at the dark street. The triumph I felt just moments ago is gone, replaced by a cold, creeping dread. I've gone too far, and now there's no turning back. Sarah comes home late that night, her face drawn and pale. She knows something's wrong, but she doesn't ask. She goes straight to bed, leaving me alone in the living room. I sit in the dark, thinking about what Martin said, about what I've set in motion. I wanted revenge. I wanted to make her pay. And I've done that. But now I'm caught in something bigger, something I can't control. I glance at my phone. The text from Martin still sits there, a reminder of the danger I'm in. I need to figure out my next move, and fast. Because if I'm not careful, this could destroy me too. I sit back, my mind racing. The game has changed, but I'm not out of it yet. If I've learned anything from this, it's that I can't trust anyone. Not Sarah, not David, and now not even the people I thought I could control. I take a deep breath, calming the storm inside me. The stakes are higher now, but I'm not backing down. I've come too far to walk away. If this is a game of power, then I'll play it to the end. But this time, I'll be smarter. This time, I'll win. I sit at the bar, watching the room like a predator. The charity event is in full swing, people mingling, drinking, laughing. They're oblivious to the storm I'm about to unleash. Sarah's working the room like she always does, her smile effortless, charming the guests, oblivious to the trap I've set. Tonight's the night. All the lies, the betrayal, the months of deceit, it's all about to come crashing down. My heart pounds, but my hands are steady. I've waited for this, planned every step. The humiliation I'm about to drop on her will destroy her, just like she destroyed me. There's no turning back now. I glance over at David, standing a few feet away, talking with a couple of mutual friends. His smile is tight, forced. He hasn't spoken to me all night. He knows something is coming. Good. Let him sweat. Let him wonder if I know about him and Sarah, if I'm going to make a scene. He deserves it, just like she does. The plan is simple. I've leaked enough information to the right people. They'll start talking tonight. whispering about Sarah's affairs, about the dirty secrets she's been hiding. By the end of the evening, everyone will know what she's been doing behind my back, her double life as an escort, her affair with David, all of it. And when the rumors reach their peak, I'll step in, play the devastated husband, the man who had no idea his wife was living a lie. I'll be the victim, and she'll be ruined. I down the rest of my drink and stand up, smoothing my suit jacket. Showtime. I make my way toward the center of the room, timing it perfectly so I intercept Sarah just as she finishes talking to one of the guests. She turns to me, her smile faltering slightly when she sees the look on my face. Good. John, she says, her voice bright, but with an edge of uncertainty. Everything all right? I look at her, and for a moment I feel the weight of everything, the love we once had, the life we built together. But that moment passes quickly. All I see now is the betrayal, the lies. I lean in, my voice low and cold. They're talking about you, Sarah, Itby, watching her eyes widen. All of them. They know. Her smile freezes. What are you talking about? I keep my voice even, controlled. Your clients, your affairs, David, they know everything. Sarah blinks, her face going pale. For the first time, I see real fear in her eyes. She glances around the room, suddenly aware of the eyes on us, the whispers starting to build. She tries to recover, but I can see her unraveling. John, she starts, her voice shaking. This isn't the place. I cut her off. It's too late. You can't hide it anymore. Her breath catches, and I step back, letting the scene unfold. Sarah stumbles, trying to regain control, but the whispers are getting louder now. People are glancing our way, some with sympathy, others with curiosity. She looks at me, pleading silently, but I just watch. This is what she deserves. David appears then, his face tight with panic. He rushes to Sarah's side, whispering something to her, but I can tell he's scared. He knows his involvement is about to come out too. He's just as exposed as she is. John, David says, trying to pull me aside, let's talk about this. I laugh, a bitter sound. There's nothing to talk about, David. Everyone's going to know soon enough. You two thought you could keep this quiet? You're both fools. David's face darkens, but he doesn't push further. He knows better. Sarah, though, is starting to panic. I can see her calculating, trying to figure out how to salvage this. She's always been good at playing the game, at manipulating people, but not this time. I've taken away her power. She's standing in front of me, exposed, vulnerable, and for a brief moment, I feel a sense of satisfaction so deep it almost scares me. Almost. But as I stand there, savoring the moment, a cold voice interrupts. John. I turn and see a man I don't recognize, tall, impeccably dressed, his expression unreadable. But I know immediately who he is. Martin warned me about him. One of Sarah's clients, not just any client, someone connected, dangerous. I think we need to have a conversation, the man says, his voice calm but laced with menace. He steps closer, his eyes locking onto mine. There's no fear there, no hesitation. He's used to getting what he wants. My pulse spikes, but I keep my face neutral. I don't know who you are, and I don't care, I say, trying to sound calm, but my voice betrays a hint of unease. This doesn't concern you. The man smiles, but it doesn't reach his eyes. Oh, but it does, John. You're playing a dangerous game. One you're not equipped to win. Sarah steps back, her eyes wide with fear now. She knows who this man is. I can see it in the way she recoils, in the way her hands tremble at her sides. Whatever control she thought she had is gone. I feel a surge of anger, mixed with something else, something darker. Fear. This isn't just about revenge anymore. I've stirred up something bigger, something I can't control. You should walk away, the man continues, his voice steady, almost casual. Take your little victory and leave it at that. Because if you don't, things will get complicated. For a moment, the room spins around me. My plan, my carefully orchestrated revenge, it's slipping away, falling apart. I thought I was in control, but now I realize I'm not. I've walked into something much bigger than myself, and this man, Whoever he is holds the cards. I glance at Sarah, her face ashen, her eyes pleading silently with me to stop. For the first time, I hesitate. I've come too far to back down, but the stakes have changed. This isn't just about her anymore. This is about survival. But I can't stop. I've come too far. I won't let her win. I won't let them win. I'm not walking away, I say, my voice hardening. I don't care who you are or what you think you can do. You don't scare me. The man's smile fades, and for a brief moment, I see something flicker in his eyes, something dangerous. He steps closer, his voice dropping to a whisper. You should be scared, John. You should be terrified. Before I can respond, he turns and walks away, disappearing into the crowd as quickly as he appeared. I stand there, my heart pounding, trying to process what just happened. Sarah is still standing in front of me, her face pale, her body trembling. I can see the fear in her eyes, but it's not just fear of me anymore. It's fear of what's coming, of what this man represents. John, please, she whispers, stepping closer. You don't understand. You can't do this. I look at her, and for the first time, I feel something close to pity. She's right. I don't understand. I thought I could control this, control her, but I was wrong. I'm in over my head, but I won't stop now. I can't, even if it costs me everything. The charity event ends in a blur. People leave, the whispers still swirling. The damage done. Sarah and David are broken. Their reputations, their relationships, it's all falling apart, just like I wanted. But the man's words linger in my mind, gnawing at me, filling me with a sense of dread I can't shake. I drive home in silence, the weight of what I've done pressing down on me. I've won, but it doesn't feel like a victory. It feels like the beginning of something much darker, much more dangerous. When I get home, I sit in the dark, staring out the window. My phone buzzes and I glance at the screen. A text from Martin. We need to talk. Now, I feel the knot in my stomach tighten. Martin never sounds like this. I call him immediately. John, he says, his voice urgent, you've stirred up something bad. That guy at the charity event, he's not just rich, he's dangerous, connected to some very powerful people. You need to back off. Now, I swallow hard. I can't. Martin's voice hardens. You don't have a choice. If you keep pushing, they'll come for you, and they won't just ruin your reputation. They'll ruin your life. I sit there, the phone pressed to my ear, my mind racing. The anger I've held on to for so long, it is still there, but it's mixed with something else now. Fear, real fear. Let me handle it, Martin says. I can smooth this over, make it go away, but you have to stop. Now, I hang up without answering, my thoughts a whirlwind. I've spent months planning this, building toward this moment of revenge, and now it's crumbling around me. I don't know if I can stop. I don't know if I want to, but one thing is clear, I'm not the only one playing this game anymore. And if I'm not careful, I'm going to lose. I sit in the darkness of my living room, staring out at the empty street. The clock ticks loudly on the wall, each second reminding me of how far this has gone, how deep I've dragged myself into this mess. Sarah's gone, David's ruined. And now it's just me, alone with the consequences of everything I've set in motion. The satisfaction I thought I'd feel is nowhere to be found. Instead, there's a growing knot of anxiety tightening in my chest, a sense that things are spiraling out of control faster than I can manage. Martin warned me about this, told me to back off before it was too late. I should have listened. My phone buzzes on the table, shattering the silence. It's Martin again. I know what he's going to say, but I answer anyway. We need to meet, he says, his voice low and urgent. This thing with the client, he's not letting it go, John. He's sending people to ask questions. We're running out of time. I'll handle it, I say, my voice steady, though I'm not sure if I believe it. You can't handle this like you did with Sarah. These people aren't going to play games. They'll come for you, and they won't stop until you're gone. There's a long pause on the line. I can hear the frustration in his voice, the urgency he's trying to convey. He knows I've pushed this too far. He's telling me to cut my losses, walk away before I'm buried under the weight of what I've done. But I can't. I've come too far to turn back now. I'm not backing down, I say finally. Not after everything. Then you better be ready for what's coming. I hang up, the words echoing in my mind. Be ready. I don't know what that means anymore. The next few days are a blur of tension and paranoia. I move through my routine, but everything feels different. Off. I catch glimpses of unfamiliar cars parked near my house. People I don't recognize watching me from a distance. It's subtle, but it's enough to put me on edge. I try to stay calm, but the pressure is building. I've spent months planning my revenge on Sarah, meticulously destroying her life piece by piece, and now I'm the one who's being hunted. The irony isn't lost on me. The call comes late one night, long after I've settled into the uneasy quiet of my house. The voice on the other end is cold, detached. We need to talk, John, now. It's him, the client. I sit up, the dread settling deep in my stomach. I've been waiting for this. I knew it was coming, but that doesn't make it any easier to fake him. Where, I ask. He tells me the place, a private club on the edge of town. Neutral ground, I suppose. Somewhere no one will notice if things go sideways. I hang up and sit in the dark for a long time, the weight of what's coming pressing down on me like a physical force. This isn't about Sarah anymore. This is about survival. My life, my freedom. I can't afford to make any more mistakes. The club is quiet when I arrive, the kind of place where the rich and powerful come to disappear for a few hours. The dim lighting and soft music do nothing to ease the tension thrumming through my veins. He's waiting for me in a private room at the back, sitting at a table with a glass of whiskey in front of him. His eyes are cold, calculating, as he watches me walk in. There's no smile, no pretense of politeness. This is business, and I'm not in control anymore. I sit across from him, my pulse pounding in my ears. You've made quite a mess of things, he says, his voice calm, almost casual. But you already know that. I don't respond. I just watch him, waiting for the hammer to drop. You should have left it alone, John. Sarah's mistakes were her own. You could have walked away, let her destroy herself. But instead you had to push. You had to drag me into it. His eyes bore into mine, and I feel the full weight of what I've done pressing down on me. This man doesn't care about Sarah or David. He cares about power, control, and I've threatened that. Now I'm paying the price. I'm giving you one chance, he says, leaning forward slightly. One chance to walk away. You stop digging, stop talking, and I let this go. But if you push any further, if you try to cross me again, I will destroy you. And believe me, John, I have the means to do it. There's no bravado in his words, no empty threats. He means it. I can feel it in the way he looks at me, the cold certainty in his voice. He's done this before. He knows how to make people disappear. I swallow hard, my mind racing. This is my out. My chance to walk away, let the dust settle, and rebuild what's left of my life. But the rage still burns inside me. The need to see Sarah pay for what she's done, for the way she humiliated me. I hesitate, and he notices. His expression hardens. You're thinking about it, he says. Thinking about defying me, don't. I meet his gaze, and for a moment I'm on the edge. The smart move is to walk away. Let it go. But I've never been able to walk away from a fight, not when I've come this far. I'm not done yet, I say, my voice low but firm. The air between us grows heavy, and for the first time I see a flicker of something in his eyes. Surprise, maybe, or disappointment. He didn't expect me to push back. You're making a mistake, he says quietly. Maybe, I reply, standing up. But it's mine to make. I walk out of the club, my heart racing, every step feeling like a march towards something inevitable. I know I've just signed my own death warrant, but I can't back down now, not after everything I've done. The days that follow are filled with a strange kind of quiet. I know the storm is coming, but there's nothing I can do to stop it. I've crossed a line, and now I'm waiting for the consequences. I start tying up loose ends, moving money into hidden accounts, making sure my assets are protected. I cut ties with people who might drag me down, distance myself from anyone who could be used against me. I'm preparing for the worst because I know it's coming. Sarah, meanwhile, is a shadow of her former self. After the charity event, her world crumbled fast. Her reputation is in ruins, her career on life support. She's been hiding out, barely leaving the house, too scared to face the people who once admired her. But I'm not done with her yet. There's one more card I have to play. I confront her in the living room one night, the tension between us thick and heavy. She looks up at me, her eyes hollow, defeated. I want everything, I say, my voice cold. The house, the money, you disappear, and I won't push this any further. I'll let you walk away. She stares at me, her expression unreadable. For a moment, I think she might fight back, but then her shoulders sag, and she nods. Fine, she whispers. You win. The words hang in the air, but there's no satisfaction in them, no sense of victory, just a hollow emptiness. I should feel relief, but I don't. The threat from Sarah's client still lingers, a dark cloud hanging over everything. I know he's watching, waiting for me to make another move. And then one night I get the call I've been dreading, an anonymous voice on the other end of the line, cold, detached. You should have listened. The line goes dead and I'm left sitting in the dark, my heart pounding in my chest. They're coming for me. I don't know when, I don't know how, but it's only a matter of time. I sit there, the silence pressing down on me like a weight I can't escape. I've won. I've destroyed Sarah, taken everything from her. But at what cost? My life is falling apart, crumbling under the weight of my revenge. And now I'm not sure if it was worth it. The days blur together, each one filled with a sense of impending doom. I'm constantly looking over my shoulder, waiting for the moment when it all comes crashing down. I've made too many enemies, and now I'm trapped in a web of my own making. I think about running, disappearing, but it's too late for that. They'll find me. They always do. There's no escape from this. I sit in my empty house, the darkness pressing in around me, and for the first time I wonder if I've lost more than I ever stood to gain. My revenge has consumed me, turned me into someone I don't recognize, and now I'm paying the price. The phone rings again, and this time, I don't answer. I just sit there, staring at it, waiting for the end. I meet him in a secluded corner of the city, a private place, away from prying eyes. The night is cold, the air thick with tension as I step out of my car. My heart pounds, but I steady my breath. I've been here before, at this edge of control and chaos. This time, though, it's different. This is the final move. He's waiting for me, leaning against a black sedan. His face is as cold and expressionless as it was the last time we spoke, at that charity event where everything came undone. The man who has haunted the edges of my revenge, the one pulling strings I didn't see until it was too late. John, he says as I approach, his voice low and sharp, I didn't expect you to last this long. I'm not done yet, I reply, my voice firmer than I feel. The weight of his presence, his power is suffocating, but I won't back down now. Not after everything. He chuckles, a hollow sound that feels more like a threat than amusement. You should have taken my offer, walked away when you had the chance. I stare him down, refusing to flinch. You didn't give me a choice. You think I'd let you push me around? Let you control me? The smile fades from his face. This isn't about control, John. It's about survival. You've dug yourself into a hole you can't climb out of. I'm offering you a way out. One last chance. I'm not walking away. The words spill out before I can second-guess them. My throat tightens, but I hold his gaze. You can't intimidate me. For a long moment, neither of us moves. The street around us is eerily quiet, the city's usual buzz muted as if even it knows what's about to happen. Finally, he sighs, straightening his posture. You've got guts. I'll give you that. He steps closer, his eyes narrowing. But guts won't save you. I know everything about you, John. I know your weaknesses, your history. I know what you're afraid of. I feel a chill crawl up my spine, but I don't let it show. If you know so much, then you know I don't scare easily. You should. His voice is colder now, more menacing. I don't need to destroy you publicly. I can ruin you in ways you can't even imagine. I can take everything from you, your money, your reputation, your life, piece by piece, until there's nothing left. The thread hangs between us, a promise of the darkness that waits if I make the wrong move. But I can't back down. Not now. I've already crossed every line, burned every bridge. This is all I have left. My resolve, my need to win, even if it costs me everything. I step closer, closing the distance between us until we're nearly face to face. I've already lost everything that matters, I say, my voice steady. You can't take what's already gone. There's a flicker in his eyes, something I haven't seen before. Maybe it's respect, maybe it's something darker, but it's enough to tell me that I've struck a nerve. He leans in, his breath cold against my face. This is your final warning, he whispers. Walk away or you won't just lose your life, you'll lose yourself. The words hit hard, a deeper truth embedded in the threat. But I can't turn back. I've come too far. I've destroyed too much. If I walk away now, it means everything I've done was for nothing. I can't let that happen. I won't. I step back, my body tense, my mind racing. He watches me, waiting for my decision, but I already know what I'm going to do. There's no other way. I've been playing his game long enough. Now it's time to end it. The next few days pass in a blur of preparation. I move fast, cutting ties, transferring what's left of my assets into untouchable accounts. I change my phone, delete emails, wipe every trace of my digital presence. I know he's watching, waiting for me to slip up, but I won't give him the satisfaction. I'm not stupid. I know what's coming. He's too powerful to simply walk away from this, but I'm not walking away either. Not without a fight. I go through the motions, keeping up appearances while I finalize my plan. I need to confront Sarah one last time, tie up the loose ends of this twisted game we've been playing. She's been laying low, hiding from the fallout of the charity event, but I know where she's staying. She has nowhere else to go. The hotel is a far cry from the luxurious places she used to frequent. I knock on the door, my pulse quickening as I wait. When the door opens, Sarah stands there, her face pale, her eyes hollow. She looks like a ghost of the woman I once knew. "John," she whispers, her voice barely audible. "Let me in," I say, stepping past her before she can respond. The room is small, dimly lit, and reeks of desperation. Sarah closes the door behind me, standing there in silence as I take in the sight of her. Broken, defeated. I should feel satisfaction, but all I feel is emptiness. "What do you want?" she finally asks, her voice trembling. I turn to face her, the weight of everything we've done to each other hanging between us. I want it all. The house, the money, everything. You disappear and I'll let you walk away. She stares at me, her eyes wide with disbelief. For a moment, I think she might argue, might try to fight back. But then she nods, her shoulders slumping in defeat. "You win," she says softly. "Take it all." I expected to feel triumph, a sense of victory, but as the words leave her mouth, all I feel is a deep, hollow ache. I've won, but at what cost? I've destroyed her, destroyed everything we once had, and now there's nothing left. I turn to leave, but her voice stops me. "John, was it worth it?" I pause, my hand on the door handle. The question echoes in the empty room, cutting through the silence like a knife. Was it worth it? I don't know. I'm not sure I ever will. Without another word, I leave, the door closing softly behind me. The following days are filled with a quiet dread. I know he's coming for me. The client, the one who warned me, the one who made it clear I was playing a game I couldn't win. Every phone call, every knock on the door sends a surge of panic through me. But I keep going, moving through the motions of my life like a man waiting for the inevitable. And then one night it happens. I'm sitting in my living room, the only light coming from the street lamp outside. My phone buzzes on the table, and for a moment I consider ignoring it, but I can't. I already know who it is. I pick up, my hand trembling as I press the phone to my ear. You didn't listen. The voice is calm, cold, detached. The same voice that gave me my final warning. The same voice that promised consequences if I didn't back down. I swallow hard, my throat tight. I don't care. There's a pause on the other end, a silence filled with the weight of what's coming. You should, he says, and then the line goes dead. I sit there, the phone still pressed to my ear, my heart pounding in my chest. He's coming. I don't know when, I don't know how, but I know it's over. I've pushed too far, burned too many bridges, and now I'm going to pay the price. I thought I could win. I thought I could control everything, manipulate everyone, but I was wrong. I've been playing a game I didn't understand, and now it's too late to walk away. The final confrontation comes in the form of silence. No guns, no violence, just a quiet realization that everything I've done, everything I've fought for, was for nothing. I sit in the darkness of my home, the emptiness closing in around me, and for the first time, I feel the weight of my decisions. Sarah is gone. The client has made his move. And I'm left with nothing, no money, no reputation, no sense of who I am anymore. I've lost more than I ever thought possible, and now I have to live with that. The revenge I sought, the justice I craved, it's all meaningless. I've destroyed myself in the process, and there's no coming back from that. As I sit there, staring out into the empty night, I realize something. This was never about winning. It was about losing, about giving in to the darkness inside me and letting it consume everything in its path. And now all that's left is me, a lone hollow, a shell of the man I used to be. The cost of revenge was higher than I ever imagined, and I've paid it in full. But it's too late now, too late for anything. I sit in my empty house, staring at the walls. Silence hangs heavy in the air, and I feel it pressing down on me. It's strange. After everything, after all the case, the betrayals, and the revenge, the quiet feels unbearable. I've won, but it doesn't feel like a victory. The truth is, I've lost. Somewhere along the way, I lost who I was, what I stood for. Sarah is gone, her life in ruins. The client, that dangerous shadow behind it all, has backed off. No longer a threat now that I've proven I won't be intimidated. But it's hollow. The price I paid to get here, to destroy them, was higher than I ever imagined. I glance at the clock. Time ticks on, indifferent. I'm left with nothing but the wreckage of my life, a life I shattered in pursuit of something I thought would bring me closure. Revenge was supposed to be the answer. It was supposed to make everything right, but it hasn't. I stand up, pacing the room. My mind races, going over every step of the plan, every decision I made to get here. The lies, the manipulation, the cold, calculated moves. It felt empowering at the time. It felt like justice, but now it feels like poison, slow, creeping, eroding everything inside me. I think back to that night at the hotel when it all started, when I learned the truth about Sarah, how the revelation hit me like a freight train, shattering everything I thought I knew. The anger that consumed me, the need to make her pay for what she'd done. It seemed so clear then. I had to destroy her. There was no other option. But what about now? What's left? I grab my phone and scroll through the contacts. There's no one to call. Martin is gone, cut off after he tried to warn me to stop. Sarah is a ghost. David? He's nothing to me now, just another casualty in the war I waged. I've isolated myself completely. And for what? I sink back into the chair, my head in my hands. Was this worth it? I don't know anymore. Days pass and the emptiness only grows. I go through the motions, pretending like things are normal, but inside, I'm unraveling. The client's threat still lingers in the back of my mind, though I know he won't strike again. He got what he wanted, my silence, my submission, even if I never admitted it out loud. But I can't shake the feeling that I've become something else, something darker. The man I was before, the one who valued loyalty and love, he's gone, replaced by this hollow version of myself, driven by anger and revenge. And now that I've reached the end, there's nothing left to fuel me. One night, I find myself back at the hotel, the same place where it all started. I stand across the street, staring at the entrance, watching as people go in and out, completely unaware of the destruction that began here. It feels surreal, like I'm standing outside of my own life, watching it play out from a distance. I walk inside the familiar lobby unchanged. The memory of that conversation with the manager comes rushing back. His casual remark about Sarah, his mistaken assumption that I was just another client. It all feels like a lifetime ago. I sit at the bar, nursing a drink, lost in thought. The bartender asks if I want another, but I wave him off. The alcohol isn't helping. Nothing is. I'm just trying to fill the void, and it's not working. As I sit there, I realize that I never really wanted revenge. Not truly. What I wanted was to hurt Sarah the way she hurt me, to make her feel the same betrayal, the same pain. But I never stopped to think about what would happen after. I never thought about what I would do when she was gone. Now I'm left with nothing but questions. Was it worth it? Did I win, or did I lose something more important along the way? The next morning, I find myself walking through the old neighborhood where Sarah and I used to live. The house we shared is still there, standing like a monument to the life we once had, a life I burned to the ground. I don't know why I'm here. Maybe it's a need for closure, or maybe I'm just looking for some kind of answer. But as I stand there staring at the house, I realize there are no answers, only more questions. The damage is done, and there's no going back. I turn and walk away, leaving it behind for good. In the days that follow, I start to understand something. Revenge didn't just destroy Sarah. It destroyed me too. It consumed me, turned me into someone I don't recognize. And now that it's over, I'm left with nothing but the wreckage. But there's something else too, a strange sense of freedom. I've lost everything, my marriage, my reputation, even my sense of self, but there's a certain clarity in that. I have nothing left to lose, nothing left to fight for, and in a way, that's liberating. I don't know what comes next. The future feels like a blank slate, an empty canvas waiting to be filled. But for the first time in a long time, I'm not consumed by rage or the need for revenge. I'm just here, existing. Maybe that's enough. Maybe after everything, it's all I need. As I sit in the quiet of my empty house, I reflect on the path I've taken. The choices I made, the people I hurt, the price I paid. It's not the ending I envisioned, but it's the one I have. And maybe, just maybe, I can live with that. The cost of revenge was higher than I ever imagined. It took everything from me, left me hollow and scarred. But it's over now. The battle is done, and though I'm not sure who I am anymore, I know one thing: I survived. And for now, that's enough.